We're here back with another banger of a podcast with incredible photographer Stephan. I'm going to put some of his work on the screen right now. Look at this. Look at this work. Look at these proposals. And I feel like you're doing them almost every day, man. It looks like.
It feels that way. Yeah. The thing is, when you're really busy, you're not posting, right? So if you're seeing stuff, if you're seeing my feed and it looks really active, that's just because I'm at home getting it ready and present, you know?
Yeah.
That's the paradox.
Yeah. I like your recent content where you've been posting kind of behind the scenes, like you get there early, you size up the space, and then the couple walks in and then you show like what the shots look like.
Yeah, those are fun. Yeah, if I can get there early enough and the location is inspiring to me, I've gotten a lot of feedback from my viewers that this is the kind of stuff they like to see. They like to be taken into this world, and that's where all the fun is.
Yeah.
I'm an amateur videographer at best, but it's a fun way to even just like help myself frame the project. You know, if sometimes I'll think I have an idea, but it's not until I say it out loud and I like manifest it, right, that it becomes like, okay, now I have to do it.
Yeah.
You know.
I feel like proposals are 100% something where if I'm scrolling, I stop and I look at it. Because
I'm the same way.
It's a beautiful moment. It's very potentially viral content because everyone can relate to it, even if there's no sound, even if there's no if there's a language barrier, everyone can relate to feeling that type of love and wanting to be in that moment.
Yeah, I agree with that. I follow a lot of other proposal photographers too throughout the world. Banff photography is really like the trendsetter, I think. I watched him just blow up, and we've been to Banff, and I've worked with that photographer. He's a really nice guy, Devin. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm sure he does TikTok stuff too, which is like another level. I'm only on Instagram, but I find myself stopping all the time. Even if it's like I've seen this location before, I'm pretty sure I've seen those people, but it's just, it can't be helped. Yeah.
I feel like no one is dominating the proposal market in DC the way you are right now.
Oh, thanks, man.
Of course,
Thank
dude.
you.
Of course.
No, I'm good friends with the other proposal photographers, as you may have seen in one of my more recent posts. We get together, we have coffee, we believe in community, not competition.
Oh, yeah.
Because you can't be everywhere all at once.
There's enough for everyone.
And thankfully so.
Yes.
Yeah. I've been fortunate enough that they were cool enough to let me in because I feel pretty new to the game.
Okay.
So shout out to Natasha Mal Photography and John Fleming, who are great proposal photographers, on top of Katie Lingen. We're all in a nice little circle together, and we check in with each other constantly. There's a lot of good stuff.
So let's dive in. Would you consider yourself a proposal photographer, or mainly a wedding photographer, or photographer in general?
Photographer in general.
Okay.
Yeah, I like the variety. Proposals are great and it works for my particular model, where it's just like, okay, I've known this couple since the inception of their official engagement, and so sometimes what'll happen is I'll get a proposal, then I'll get an engagement, and then potentially a wedding if we have a great relationship. But I completely understand, DC being the city that it is, a lot of people are very transient, and so they come in, but they're initially from Georgia or North Carolina or something, so they have these destination weddings, and I just I follow them, I cheer them on, I think it's beautiful. Or I totally understand, and I've done this too, wanting to just try something different. There are a lot of different styles of photography, so maybe they'll come in and whatnot, but I think proposals are just beautiful. They really bring out the best in myself and everyone involved, because they are just such a special, beautiful, authentic moment, and I think that authenticity is like what's most valuable to me in photography. Yeah.
So I'm very curious about the behind the scenes process of a man who now feels ready to propose to his girlfriend or partner to a partner. So a person reaches out to you, and obviously does it feel very secretive?
Yes.
Like the whole process?
Yes. Yeah, I make sure that my emails have a very ambiguous title. It's just like inquiry, Stephan A Photography. No talk of proposal at all. And I'm like, yo, here, meet me at this place at this time. I'm wearing this. Text me a picture of you, and it feels very risque, it's just like I'm DMing you hey, what are you wearing today, right? And they'll be like, here's a picture of what I'm wearing, good morning, how you feeling? I'm really their coach in these moments, and so there is a lot that goes into just being supportive of your guys, because sometimes you're the only person who knows. Sometimes they invite family and stuff, and that's great. But sometimes you're really the only person who knows, and they trust you. And that's a lot of trust to be putting in on one person, and I don't ever try to abuse that. I just try to make sure that, like, they're feeling comfortable. I do everything I can to make sure they know where I am. They know what to expect. We're looking at the weather together. We have a plan A, a plan B.
I saw your post today, and it was a couple, and I'll put a little bit on the screen here. It was a couple, and they were facing back to back, and you're like, all right, guys, keep facing back to back. You're doing really good. And then at that point, I think the gentleman turns around, gets down on his knee. The woman still has no idea what's happening. She thinks it's a regular photo shoot happening.
Right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so she wanted a photo shoot.
Yeah, okay.
And he listened.
Did she inquire?
No.
Okay,
he inquired, and he told me that he was going to do it. So we worked out a signal. He's like, I'm going to go into my bag, I'm going to grab my chapstick. And I'm like, that's code for ring. And then after that, we can do our back-to-back photo, which I'm going to just say is like an artsy thing that I do. And I do actually do some of those shots too. And then take it from there. At that point, they're really the stars. They can like feel it out.
Wow. So at that point, you take the photos come out incredible. Do you talk to like the woman afterwards? To get their kind of like, oh my God, I have no idea. Like, what's that like?
Yeah, there's a lot of good energy. I try not to make it about me. I really do try to give them a moment once the proposals happen to just be like, by the way, sometimes I've introduced myself. Most of the times I have not. Most of the times I'm just some creep. And I swear,
just
I
like
feel
in the bushes.
I'm really literally that. Like, I'm like in the bushes with my long lens, and I'm waiting there for a long time too. So people like, I've had it a couple times where it's like, I think that's the couple before my system was all figured out. I'm like pointing my camera at some random couple, and they're like, yo, like, and the girl will think, is he gonna propose to me right now? And I don't know them at all, and I've seen it happen, just like this like cocktail of emotion. But anyway, talking to the girls afterwards, they're always happy. And sometimes they enter a situation stressed. They're very confused. Why are we here? Especially if the guy doesn't plan anything before and they go into it real dry. But it always ends up being like, I've never seen anyone say no. Thankfully. Yeah.
Oh man. So now you've done, I'm sure, shoots all over the DMV. What are some of your personal favorite backdrops for
great
proposal
question.
moment?
Right now, I really love Bartholdi Park. It's just 2 blocks from my house, so that's why I love it. But it also has a great view of this like fountain. It's harder to get to. Like,
do you have a
parking
picture
really sucks
of it?
there. Yeah, I'll send you stuff. Yeah,
put it on the screen
Bartholdi's really nice, and I really love And It Helped, which is down the block from that too, which is like the Smithsonian Castle garden. Really, really beautiful. Jefferson Memorial is iconic. Especially now that Lincoln Memorial is currently under construction until 2026. But then, any gardens, like Brookside Gardens, Meadowlark, great locations,
I feel like if you're really trying to go for that DC proposal, you got to have like the Washington Monument in the background, right?
Most of the time.
Or like Potomac or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah. It's good to have a little bit of everything. I don't want to be posting every day in the monuments, but I have to admit that it's very much a big part of business. And like, I got business cards recently, and they cut off the picture where the monument was, and I'm like, these are useless to me. Like, I need to be associated with DC branding at this point, and where I am right now. If that expands later on, that's great, but I got a refund. I was really pumped about that. Can I ask you some questions? Is it too soon?
No. I have one more question.
Oh, you want one more question? Okay, cool.
So my question is, it looks like you're doing a lot of proposals during the week even. And I assume a lot of these proposals are happening very early in the day, right?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah, I highly recommend for those seeking proposal photography that they either do it at sunrise or sunset for the most romantic, glowy kind of lighting. Sometimes this isn't always possible because they want to plan dinner around it, or maybe they want to do it at the beginning of the day because they have other plans they want to have going into it with riding that high. But I've done, you do them at all times of day whenever they happen. Sometimes they're at night in a bar, and that's cool too, like I embrace and I love when it's a unique thing and it's totally different, but I will generally try and advocate for those times just because of lighting.
And I assume morning too, crowds, right? Fewer crowds, just more beautiful shots of the environment and stuff like that. You don't have people crossing through as you're proposing and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, I've had to Photoshop a lot of people in the backgrounds and stuff. Sometimes I'll leave them if I feel like it works for the atmosphere, but most of the time there's some dude in a fanny pack and like bright neon green shoes. I'm like, that's not the vibe we're going for today. And so, yeah, but it's part of the work. I'm never like, I'm not that petty to the point where it, like,
each one is its own special moment. So I get that.
Yeah.
All right.
Question time?
Question time.
All right, I got a couple here, and I've been trying to feel out the vibe.
And I don't know what these questions are, so...
Yeah, I offered to send these last night, and you said, no, I don't want to know. Yeah. So I'm not going to... Don't worry, I'm not going to grill you on anything crazy.
No, we're good.
Okay, here's one. Do you ever slip in any of your favorite songs during a reception or dance, or do you wish that you could?
I definitely do slip in some of my favorite songs, more so during dinner. Because during the reception, I want it to be all about what they have selected, what their playlist kind of calls for. But I do have... So my favorite genre of music is EDM music, electronic music. If you're in the DMV, you've ever been to Echo Stage, like, that's my vibe. And I do have couples where maybe, like, the last hour or something, they do want that heavier EDM vibe. So that's when I really dig into the crates, and I can really have fun with it, so...
That's good.
Those are the fun ones.
Because I think that it's hard to come up off the top of your head, like with a big name in EDM as opposed to all the dance hits that we know throughout the decades, really. Yeah. Who are you slipping in there the most right now?
At the moment, I would say Dom Dalla. James Hype.
Send me these.
Yeah. Who else is putting out bangers? Mao P.
Okay.
Trying to think who else right now.
Have you met any of these guys?
Nah.
Not yet?
Nah.
You've been to their shows?
Not yet. I've been to their shows at Echo Stage.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're like, this is inspo right now.
Oh, yeah, man. Shows are insane.
That's
DJ
awesome.
Snake, always a favorite. Snake. Yeah.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
Right on. Good.
Yeah.
That's good that you get to do that.
Yeah.
Because I think it changes the tone of a party when you're doing EDM stuff. That's when, like, the parents have left pretty much, right?
Yeah.
And then you're like, all right, now we're getting dirty.
Yeah.
That rocks. Okay. We're going to do one more?
Let's do it.
All right, we'll make this more of a thing. Okay. Is there a music trend that's happening now that you wish more couples would adapt to?
Is there a music trend happening?
Or maybe the opposite of that. Is there a music trend right now that you wish more couples would avoid?
The
spicy version of that question.
I think couples now just want... They're moving away more and more away from formalities, like bouquet toss, garter toss, and they just want to throw down.
Hell yeah.
You know? In terms of music trends, I mean, it's funny, a lot of couples now will... Because I try to develop a really close relationship with my couples. You know, I like to be a part of the journey, you know, on socials, like engagement parties, you know, when they're doing their bachelor stuff, you know, I try to be I'm interacting, I'm commenting, and they'll always send me reels of just fun DJ things on Instagram, and they're like, yo, throw this down at the wedding.
There you go.
It's funny, there's just a lot of like memes being incorporated during sets now. There's one really funny one, a DJ, his name's Nick Spinelli. If you've seen Wolf of Wall Street, there's a scene where he's like, I'm not leaving.
Yeah, I've seen this one.
Yeah.
I've seen this reel.
And at the end of the wedding, for the last song, everybody's like, one more song. He drops that.
Yeah.
I'm not leaving.
Yeah.
And I think adding those moments where everyone kind of culturally understands, it just adds a fun element.
Okay, so that's awesome. So we're all thinking like cultural zeitgeist moments and just like random, little like sound bites and stuff. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Did you? I don't remember. Did you do that at the wedding where we met?
Nah.
Did they know that we met at a wedding?
We met Stephanie and Luke.
Yeah,
right?
in March.
Yeah, in
just
March.
like 6 months ago.
Yeah, and we'll put a photo here on the screen of that wedding.
That was a sick wedding.
Such a fun wedding.
That was really great. I love those two.
Stephanie, Luke, such a beautiful ceremony.
Dude, I'm still following them and they're just so inspiring. Yeah. They're really, really positive people who like...
The sweetest couple.
Yeah.
Honestly, the most beautiful venue. That was my first time at that. It was like a country club. Golf course.
Yeah, my first time too. Really cool spot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would definitely go back there. I'd say I probably have posted that wedding like so many times because I'm like, this is what we want it to be. The lighting and just the space that you have, and even the staff. I took one picture there of the staff, and the staff were like so happy, just like the servers, and I'm like, this place just has good energy. So I'm like, this works great.
I love that room, like the crowd, the family. I think Luke's family was more American. Stephanie's family was Latin. I think.
Yeah, you played a mix that night, right? You did like a certain portion of the, today's hits or variety of hits, and then you had like the Latin portion. I remember.
And I did a whole behind the scenes video of that day. So that's on the screen here. And once you're done with this video, go check out that video. That's where me and him met.
One of my favorite parts of that wedding, though, was when you had that dance for the couples, and it was like a little competition, like who's been married the longest. Can you explain how that came about?
So the sweetheart dances, I think they're called. So we'll invite all married couples to the dance floor. And I think it's a nice moment to just, for the married couples. Because a lot of times, honestly, during weddings, we hardly sprinkle in slow songs, to be honest, because we're just trying to keep the dance floor full. We're trying to keep everyone high energy. So it's nice to kind of have that moment, slow it down. It's a romantic moment, all married couples to the dance floor. And then I always start and say, if you've been married for more than a day, please stay on the dance floor. That's when our newlyweds will exit the dance floor. And then from there we go, if you've been married more than a year, more than 5 years, 10 years. And eventually we get to the longest married couple in the room, which most times it'll be between 40 and 60 years, which is crazy.
Amazing.
Yeah. And it's inspiring, honestly, to see a couple that's made it that long.
I think so. I mean, I was just beautiful to me because you really highlight what the marriage can be. Yeah. What it stands for and how that journey really lasts a lifetime. It illustrates so many points beautifully, and it highlights, people that I think often don't get a spotlight, for doing the work, for really showing us what marriage is all about, right? And so I think that's huge. That was a really cool thing that you did. And I don't think I've seen any other DJs really do that in my time out there. Yeah.
And I always selfishly try to give them the microphone and say, what's one piece of advice? Because after all you've been through,
put them on the spot.
Yeah. And I've had some couples say, just never stop dating your best friend. Right. Never stop being best friends with this person. That's so real.
Love that.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
Feel that.
Yeah.
We could all use that advice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I'm not married. You've been married for
almost 2 years now. Okay. Yeah, in December. Yeah, so I wouldn't make it very far in that dance, but past the bride and grooms of the day, so that's something, I guess.
And when you proposed, you were not yet in the wedding industry, right?
Yeah, no, I learned a lot since then. I would have improved upon my proposal. My proposal with my wife was pretty special, I thought. The moment it was snowing on Capitol Hill. Oh, wow. And it was really quiet, and it was just like totally... it was picturesque, but there are no pictures from it. And so we had just gotten done recording some music because we play music together. And I was like, it's just a great day. Let's go for a walk. And she just so happened to forget her left glove that day. So I was like, here, take this ring. And,
that's perfect.
And yeah, it was a great moment.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I wish I had gotten a photographer for myself. But again, this was like right before. And this just, should really illustrate like, I appreciate being on this podcast because it's all very like new to me. This wasn't that long ago.
Wow. And
so really only in the last year have I gone full time and just been like, all right, we're doing this every day. We're trying to get up. We're thinking about how to serve the couples a little better, how to produce content. You get it, right? We're vlogging and stuff like that. And I was just talking to you about how it's very cyclical.
Yeah.
Good content begets good business. Good content begets good business.
I think, proper. And I really believe that couples now want to see who they're hiring. Like they want to see their personality. Because like I think most photographers understand, yes, we need to post great photos on our social medias, yes. But I think it's also important, like, as a couple, am I going to enjoy spending all day with this person? Right. Like, is this person a cool vibe? Yep. Could I go out and grab dinner with this person?
I feel the same. Yeah.
And those are the couples that I want to work with.
It's the vibe check.
Yeah. Like,
it's a real thing.
If I can't hang out with my couple outside of a wedding, I don't, you know.
Yeah. Because it's a big day.
Yeah.
It's potentially the best day of your life is how is how most people think of it or approach it, right?
Yeah.
So you don't want some weirdo. You don't want some guy.
You don't want someone who's just the vibes are off, or they just have a resting, face. I don't know.
No, I feel that, and I've definitely worked with photographers. You just you get a sense for them right away.
Yeah.
And so, I've been a second and I've been a primary shooter. And I don't think anyone's had like, I don't think anyone makes it in this industry without knowing how to just like have a good time, right? That's the beauty of what we do, like as creatives. It's just like you don't accidentally fall into making your own business, or like accidentally fall into like having, a steady, income and being full-time like this. And so, it does kind of have to be a part of your personality. And I think that's why we kind of gelled right off the bat when we like saw each other on social media. We saw each other at the party. I was just like, okay, this person is clearly doing it because they like it. Yeah. And it's just fun to be a part of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can tell like you, as do I, like we get invested in our couples, and especially on wedding day, like we're genuinely excited for this couple, like we were for Stephanie and Luke. I remember just having calls with them, and those calls just felt like we're just laughing during the calls. It felt like we're just like longtime friends.
Totally.
And those are the best couples.
I agree.
And that's what we try to do with every one of our couples.
Yeah, and I'll do, for example, like I'll do someone's proposal.
Yeah.
And then they book someone else for the wedding because they're getting married in Mexico or whatever, and I would love to go to Mexico, but maybe I'm booked or something, and they just have different plans, and it's cheaper out there, or whatever reason they want to try something different.
Yeah.
I'll still follow them. I follow couples that for like years, and I'm just like rooting for them. It's like the Facebook phenomenon, right? You'll meet someone when you're on vacation, you follow them for like, why am I still friends with this person? Yeah. With these people, though, it's nice because it's just like you were there from inception. You were there from the beginning of it. I mean, not maybe when they met or whatever, but like when they made it official, that's the image they project of themselves out onto the world. And so, like, I get invested in these couples, I
also think it's cool that we get to meet people at their most authentic. Like, I think their walls are down. We're sharing moments with them that for anyone, these are very exciting moments. They're not like... They don't have their guards up. They're not pretending to be someone else. They're with the person that they're choosing to spend the rest of their life with. They are, they're authentically themselves. They're laughing. They're being themselves authentically. And I personally love meeting people at that part.
All right, enough positivity. I got a question. I got a question for you. This is the question that I'm going to drop in the middle of this power of positivity moment.
Question time. Let's go.
What's your worst wedding story?
Worst wedding story.
No need to name names, obviously. We're professionals here.
I've heard some horror stories from wedding planners. My personal worst, well, I've had power cut a few times. I've had power cut twice. And one happened this past weekend.
Oh no!
Dance floor is going crazy. Energy is crazy. And I am on the second floor. My equipment, like speakers, lighting, is on the first floor. So as soon as power goes off, I'm like, holy.
Yeah.
And all my equipment looks good. Music's still playing on my computer. So I'm like, what the heck? What? So I run downstairs, and I guess someone had tapped on the power cable for a speaker, and I just quickly pushed it back in. And all I hear from people are like, oh, DJ, da 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 da. And then all I hear is the bride, hey, leave my DJ alone.
There you go. That's how you
Shout out Jasmine. Shout out Jasmine.
That's what's up. Thanks.
But yeah, those moments, I mean, they're scary, I think, for anyone, especially a DJ, right? You want to keep the party going. You don't want that to happen. But I think it's just important to keep your composure, analyze, okay, what happened, and fix it as quick as you can, and keep it going.
Can I have a confession moment?
Go ahead. Was that you? Did you trip the cable?
I've done that before. I put my bag down.
Yeah.
Because like it has to be out of the shots. Usually the DJ station is safe because it's like no one's gonna go back there. Yeah. I put my bag down. It was for whatever reason right next to the outlet, and I just fidgeted. I just fidgeted it just like a little bit. And the power went out, and I'm just like, that was me. That was me. That was party foul. I would have had to chug like a whole. This was dance reception. Oh, wow. Yeah. It was embarrassing, and I'm really sorry to that DJ and that couple. I apologize profusely.
Jeez,
you got to send them the gallery later and be like, look, here's my you know. I don't think it affected much. They were a very laid back couple, but when it goes from 60 to 0, right? It can be really awkward. So You said it happened twice though. So once was this weekend. The other one was.
Where did the other time happen? I'm trying to remember. If it comes back to me, I'll bring it up. But power. Oh, it happened, and I think the reason that it happened is because we had just too much equipment plugged into one outlet.
Oh.
So as soon as it happened, I immediately unplugged the biggest power sucks. And I was like, all right, priority is audio.
Yeah.
Plug in the speakers into a new outlet that had not tripped.
Yeah.
And party was back.
Okay.
But,
Quick recovery.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a scary moment, but, you know, most crowds are going to do the no music.
Yeah.
You know, most people are cool about it. It happens.
You lead that? You know how to lead that?
Oh, yeah.
I feel like that's part of the...
Just right back into it, yep.
All right, guys, we're doing YMCA right now.
Yeah. Acapella.
Acapella, yeah.
Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
So let's jump into our role as wedding vendors now. So we were talking earlier about how I think for DJs, a lot of our work is on the front end.
Yes.
Just in terms of prep.
Yep.
And our heavy lifting is the day of the wedding. And once the night is over, we are completely done. No more work kind of to be done after. But for photographers, I think heavy lifting happens after the wedding.
Yeah.
Right? So so tell us a little bit about kind of your process. And I think this is why photographers' rates are what they are, because they're working before the wedding, they're working heavily during the wedding, and they're working much heaviest workload after the wedding.
That's true. Obviously it's, we're of the same cloth on the day of. We're both in it. We're living the moment. That's the most important thing. What'll happen over time though as a photographer is you're like, okay, you're already envisioning yourself behind the camera, like on the, at your desk later, being like, ooh, that guy in the background, ooh, that person with that expression, or ooh, that person holding a phone, like, but whatever, it's all good, it's all good. You're just like not keeping it, on you. Part of my process when I finish a wedding is getting the previews, right? That's really important because it's
You're quick.
Yeah, you want to try and get it like that early the next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday latest, if you can help it. And, the preview is essentially the best. For some people, it's 10 images. For me, sometimes it ends up being like way more. I don't want to promise anything, but
during wedding day, as you're taking shots, do you already know, oh, this is going to be a preview?
Oh yeah, okay. Definitely. Okay. You can feel it, and that contributes to the end of the day, walking away from a wedding being like, I got this, or like, I'm going to be working a lot in post, like I'm going to have a lot more work cut out for me. There are a lot of variables that go into what makes a day like that, but usually as I'm capturing, I'm like, I can't believe that bird flew by at that right time, or like so and so had that tear that came down in that one moment, or the lighting here was just perfect. A good preview will have a little piece of every part of the day, the getting ready, the flat lay, which is the invites and stuff, and the couples portraits, super important. Probably spend the most time doing that stuff because those are like gonna last forever, and those are gonna be posted up in the house and stuff. I did a 9-hour wedding last month, and I just got it back to them. It's been almost 3 weeks. 3 weeks, but it felt like longer, because what happens mentally is you're like, I need to play it safe. Like, nothing can happen to me between now and when I deliver this. Like, I need to be healthy. Like, I need to be like on it, and because like I just took all of their money. I just took their down payment, and I was there, and I did the thing, and it's like, and so I do feel that pressure to like turn it over as quickly as I can with the best quality that you can too, right? Let's not like
not sacrificing quality.
Not sacrificing quality, right? So what'll look like in terms of like the timeline? I go through it once, I just take out all the trash. Go through it twice, I take out even more trash. Third time, I'm like, okay, here are the rough edits. fourth time, I'm like, okay, now we're really removing things and like checking for like everything being consistent. I do like 5 or 6 rounds of like edits.
Wow.
And you're talking like 1,000 photos probably. And like different parts of the day, different lighting conditions. And you have to make sure they all look the same, like they all fit the same kind of style, or, you know, just like that they work really well for that moment. And that can be challenging. It's just like keeping in mind, like getting really into the macro.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's not going to do that flyaway hair. And then also like the micro, and then the macro being like this has to be like a robust album, and so that's the art. So that I don't even count the hours because it would probably just be like I mean, I probably should.
Probably
from like a business
rates
perspective.
would have to go up.
Rates would. Yeah, probably.
Jeez.
That's always the game, isn't it?
During the day, what is the thing, if anything, that you're fidgeting with the most? Whether that's ISO or exposure or like obviously focus or things like that.
Depending on where we are in the day, it's usually choosing whether to do flash or no flash for indoors, because like the cameras now are so good that you can just shoot them without flash and just take all natural environment stuff. And sometimes I will if it suits the moment. But then other times you're like, oh no, it could be a little cleaner. So sometimes what I end up doing is I shoot it both ways. And then I decide later like what makes sense for this shot. Because you do want to catch the ambiance a lot more. And I try and do that with the dance floor stuff that you saw. That's the balance, right? You use a little bit of flash, but you're still getting the room. You're still getting the purples and the oranges and just the general vibe. The last thing you want to do is use flash. And it's just them, their white, like ghost-like figure in a black space, and you're just like, what's the point of this photo? Like one person alone in a room having a good time. You want to capture how it felt to be there, and so that's what's really important. And so with that, you do need to kind of be like technical. So I would say more so, I don't fidget much anymore. I've been doing this for long enough. It's not like a big question. It's just like, but when you are using flash, there's a little more that you have to think about and balance. Once you get your settings right, though, that's pretty cool. It's the times when you're like after the ceremony, when you're going out of like a cave venue, like a church, into broad daylight. That's when you have to be really fast, because moments are happening all the time. People are coming up to the bride and they're congratulating them, and you know, like sometimes, and especially during sunset sometimes, because it's like you're shooting into the light, you're shooting out of the light. Like that's the trickiest time of the year, of the day, I should say. And so that can trip you up a little bit, and that's when I usually do a little bit of both. I'm like, okay. It's a good problem to have.
You got to be quick, and that's when it matters having just a pro, experienced, seasoned photographer. All right, so we talked earlier kind of about worst nightmare for a DJ, or kind of my worst situations, which is music going out. That's 100% worst case. I don't know. I think worse than that would be like forgetting your laptop on the day of the wedding. That would be insane.
Brutal.
That would be insane.
That would be...
So,
impossible.
Aside from like formatting your memory card accidentally at the last song of the wedding, what would be the equivalent nightmare situation for a photographer?
So one time I was at an event, not a wedding, thankfully, but a big event. It was New York Fashion Week.
Ooh,
and I thought I had charged my batteries the night before. But they did not charge because I turned off the lights, and the light was attached to the outlet. And so I went in there. I'm like, good. You know, I got 2 full batteries. I got 2 more spare batteries if I need them. It's only going to be like a 4-hour event. That's all I need, right?
Yeah.
I run out of these new cameras, drain the batteries super fast, and so I'm like, all right, time for backup batteries. Then they were like red. Jeez. They were like, I was like, oh my god. And that's when I learned, don't just pack the battery, bring the charger.
Ooh, no charger.
Because you have to bring the charger.
Oh,
yeah, that was a tough one. Jeez. That was close. I was shooting very close to the chest at that point. I was
like camera off.
On,
few pictures
off. I was like, I got the shot. Like I got, you know, like this is like, if for example, if it's like a panel, I got the great shots of each of them individually. I got the whole thing, camera off until I'm needed again. Jeez. And just shooting super, super sparingly. I got really close that time, but I made it. I made it, thankfully, and the client couldn't have been happier. I was like sweating bullets, though. Yeah, so that would be a nightmare. The formatting stuff that happened in high school, so we never do. That's a mistake you only make once, right? If you ever make it though, you'll know how it feels, and you'll never do it again.
Oh man, just absolutely gutted. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So that's definitely one of the things I've noticed with these newer cameras is the battery goes super fast. Yeah.
As a photographer, what are things that, let's say, without mentioning names, annoy you that maybe other vendors do, whether it's maybe a planner, whether it's maybe a DJ or a venue? What are things you're like, oh my God, like, can you guys not, or like anything like that?
Yeah. Sometimes a planner is all about communication. Your relationship with any vendor is about communication. Sometimes a planner is so strict about the timeline, and they don't update you as things are going, because we get very much as photographers, we can do this all day. Like if we're in a room with a bride and she's looking perfect, she got her hair done, she got her makeup done, I'm like, all right, let's take some super glowy portraits, and not suddenly we realize, oh, we're 10 minutes behind, and then they're like, oh, the ceremony music's starting right now.
Oof.
I'm like, dude, that's a big no-no, because like it's hard to make that up. You'll have to, like, the photos in the second location or whatever, it's not going to be like what we had envisioned. So the biggest no-no for me is like maybe like an event coordinator who like doesn't communicate on the day, doesn't give you that heads up. You know, it's like we all know the timeline, and I understand like the ceremony is one of those things, like your guests they're going to be there on time because they know. And so I understand at times, you know, the event coordinators have to do that, but just a warning, just a little more communication. Like the best thing you can do working with other vendors is just communicate. Hey, you know, I come in and I see a new DJ. I'm just like, hey, how's it going? You know, like what are the beats? Let's go over it again. Even if we know the plan, maybe we've written it down and it's all there. Like, let's just double check, right? Where do you want me to be? Where do you want me not to be? When's a good time for me to come over and take some behind the scenes of you, right? Like I did with you, right? Is this a good time? No, you're busy. Great, you know? And then we can shoot the shit during, you know, vendor break or whatever. But luckily, everyone's an adult. You just have to be proactive. I think both sides have to be proactive. All the vendors really. Communicate.
So one more question I have. I think as a DJ, the biggest moment that I feel pressure during in a wedding is introductions. Getting everyone's names right? I am on the dance floor. I am introducing our newlyweds, making sure I get names correct, making sure music timing is correct, making sure first dance is cued properly, like just that whole sequence of moments. Executing it perfectly is a lot of pressure. And even as a seasoned wedding professional, I still get nervous every time during that moment, because I'm rechecking everything, rechecking names.
Over there,
And I think I told you that day, I was like, bro, I'm a little nervous as I'm walking to the DJ booth.
It was hot. It was a little hot that day too. You're wearing a suit.
As a photographer, what are the biggest pressure moments during an event?
Great question. When is it on, dude? When is it on? I would say the biggest pressure moments are usually on the front end.
Okay.
The front end of the day. When you get in there, the expectation for you is very, very high. You know, we just gave you thousands of dollars. And if you show up and you look like you know, whatever, and this has never happened, mind you, but that's what goes into my head. I'm like, I have to be perfect for at least the first 3-4 hours of a wedding day. Like, and that means knowing when you're supposed to be there and when you're not supposed to be there. And sometimes if you feel like you don't remember, you know, like it's just like, hey, did we say I was going to be here for this or for that? It's just like, ooh, it's a hard conversation to have on the day of. So you really want to double check your planning. The transitions, like, for example, the difference between like going from like the getting ready space to the church, you know, trying to capture little moments behind the scenes, the ceremony, huge pressure, huge, because you have to be in the moment and you also have to be like a ninja, you know, you can't be moving around too much.
Have you ever missed a first kiss moment?
No.
Okay.
No, thank
That's
God.
the biggest moment, right?
That is the biggest.
Day,
I would say that, every couple will be like...
any shot that you need to present...
Correct.
Perfectly.
It
needs to be that first kiss.
It really does, and that's when everyone is looking at you. First of all, they're looking at the couple. For the actual first kiss, they're looking at the couple. But then, if you know what you're doing, you're going to take it again as they're like halfway down the aisle. Right? And that's when I tell everyone, all right, you have to direct. You have to be able to do two things as a good photographer, what I believe. You have to be able to blend, and you have to be able to stand out with like a gentle authority. Knowing how to balance those two things is key. Those gentle authority moments happen as soon as the ceremony ends, and as soon as like you're doing a little bit of like directing during like getting ready and stuff. When you have to be like, same thing with you. You're calling out people's names. And I always tell my couples like beforehand, here's the group shot list. Tell me what their first names are, because I'm not going to have Uncle Joe wrangle everybody, and I want to just be able to say, hey Susie, hey Janet, hey Maria, you're in this shot. They want to hear their names, and we just boom, flow. You really make up time at that point, and so it's just like good to have a system. Sometimes you put a second shooter on people wrangling. But I say once you get to the reception, once you get to that space where the rest of the night's just gonna kind of play out, that's when you take over, right? That's when the pressure goes back to you, right? And then for me, I'm like, all right, I'm just here to watch a cool show, right? I'm going to catch the
Catching
speech.
candids.
A speech isn't going to have some big, like, animated thing, right? Yeah.
They're in place for like 2 minutes. You got time to get shots.
Yeah. So I guess there is a bit of like a balance there, right?
Yeah.
With the exception being what you do, which is really, really well that you do, and not every DJ does this, is introduce everybody during the ceremony. I haven't seen a lot of DJs do that. Sometimes it's just like, you know who you're here to see.
And I try to do that just to kind of set the stage, set the moment for the couples. Even a lot of DJs, I mean, I know that DJs stay behind the DJ booth. You know, and kind of make announcements from there. I kind of like to interact with the crowd a little bit, build a little rapport for when the dancing comes. They're not like, who's the strange guy talking to us? You know, I like to come up, introduce myself, do a little banter with some guest tables. Okay, table number 6. Y'all need to chill out. But I like the energy. You know, just a little banter, have a little fun with the room.
That's good. Crowd work.
The
crowd work tour. Nice. That's good.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if anything else.
I got some questions too for you. If you want, if you just need a second to think about
Let's get into it.
Let's see. What is something that you wish more clients knew before booking a DJ?
More things that I knew.
That you wish that your clients knew before they booked you, or any DJ, in terms of like maybe the questions they should be asking, or the expectations that they have that maybe don't line up.
I've had a few conversations with couples where their planner was on the call, and that felt a little more like an interview, which I kind of appreciated because that doesn't happen often. I think most times couples are just looking for someone I think couples are doing their homework now more than ever. You know, they're looking at social medias, they're looking at websites, they're talking with friends like, who do you recommend, what experience have you had, or they're seeing posts from their friends. They're checking whose photographer or DJ is tagged, and you know, I'm sure you get a lot of referrals that way. I get a lot of referrals that way. So things that I knew, or things that I wish couples were kind of checking in on.
It's tough because it sounds like you're saying that they've been more checking in more than ever. Would you say that's changed since when you first started?
I mean, I think couples now, it varies, and I'm sure even with photography styles, some couples know exactly what they want, and some are like, I don't know, we just want to get photos.
Right,
Same thing with couples. We have couples where like we completely trust your judgment. They see the content that we put out. They see how lively we get the parties, but also how professional we present ourselves. We're not, you know, complete hype men and playing music that we're not reading the room and playing outside of that. Like, you know, we're taking everything into account, all factors, do we have older family? Do we have kids in the room? And taking all that into account and playing the best format for the room, but also what our couple has mentioned that they love in terms of music. So,
That's good. I think you're right. I think couples now they have so much more to work with in terms of vetting you, right? In terms of making the right choice. And that can be fun, and like for a couple especially, you know, it can be fun to just like keep looking, and you know, choice paralysis, you know, you're on like a dating app essentially again, like oh, who's this, who's that, and then you kind of like feel them out, you have a little chat with them, and you get the vibe check. But that's good. That's good. And I think that's the best thing for the industry as a whole, is that like people are checking up on these things. At that point, you know, you're like weeding out the people who maybe don't work for you. Right.
And for us, we always invite our couples in here to the office, which is, I think, a great added
It's a really cool office. We've got Mexican Coke here, which is... Please sponsor.
Cheers, bro.
Cheers.
But
my favorite part of visiting this studio.
But love that we have a space. We can invite our couples. We can sit down with them one-on-one. And I always joke on the phone where we're kind of having that first call. I'm like, come into the office, check us out, make sure we're not weird, and there may or may not be champagne involved. And I really try to give them the experience that I most can relate to is when a bride selects her dress, and it's a very cool moment. It's an emotional moment. I try to make selecting your DJ a very cool moment.
Cool.
Through the process of everything that they're selecting, cake, food, decor, flowers, venue, transportation, makeup, photography, video.
Yeah.
I think entertainment should be something fun.
Yeah.
And I tried to have couples walk away saying, this was the best, most fun meeting we've had.
Cool.
And we're glad that we came in person.
Right.
And got to meet you, and yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, it made an impression on me when I walked in here.
Yeah.
I was definitely looking around. I'm like, oh my God, he has a Mortal Kombat machine in here that apparently does more than Mortal Kombat. We might have to play later.
Yeah,
you said there's a couple
we're
other games on there.
Yeah.
I mean, that alone, I'm like, this is the cool, like, this is the coolest DJ. Like, that has nothing to do with music or photo booths, but I'm like, this guy gets it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's really cool. Let me see if I have any other ones. You mind?
Yeah. No.
I mean, how much time do we have?
Honestly, let me check.
Yeah, I want to check and see what we got here. Okay. Oh yeah, I only have one more.
All right.
One more, and
we got about 15 minutes, but we can cut it whenever.
Okay, cool. We got 15 minutes left. You think?
Honestly, we have about 20 minutes left on the.
Is great.
On the memory card.
Oh, on the memory card.
Yeah.
Oh.
But
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All right.
This should get us going.
All right.
And I want you to be honest, because I've been
I've been playing it safe.
I've been playing a little safe, and that's okay.
All right, now hit me.
But I'm gonna be honest too.
I'll be honest. Okay.
All right.
I'll be honest.
What song do you wish you never had to play again?
Ooh, what song do I wish I never had to play again?
And no offense to the people who choose these songs, because for me, a lot of these songs that I would pick are the ones that are very popular.
Yeah. What song do I wish I never had to play
Respectfully.
Honestly, to be very honest, Come On, Eileen.
Come on.
To be honest, I don't understand the hype with that song. I don't understand it. But hey, for some people, it's their groove.
It's their groove.
It gets the room crazy.
I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it either. I don't think I've seen enough of that one to really be tired of it, because I don't think it's as up there as some of the songs that I'm thinking of right now. But I completely understand that choice, because I know it's a popular song, but I couldn't sing it for you now.
Same.
And yet some people, when it hits them, it's just like they transform.
I don't know if it's it was a big childhood thing for some people.
Exactly. There's that nostalgia factor. I think that's really important when it comes to knowing music.
Yeah. Other songs. I mean, there are couples that have selected Cotton Eye Joe, and I'm like, to me, I don't know, it feels like a mitzvah song or something, it feels like a
something for kids.
Like elementary school vibes.
I used to when I was a teacher, I used to have to do gym class with some of the kids that I worked with, and the kids just love Cotton Eye Joe, and they would make me do the dance and everything. I don't know the dance.
Maybe I'm jealous because I don't know the dance.
Yeah, I don't either, and I think that's part of it. It's just I feel left out, right? It's no hate to the song. I couldn't tell you who even sings it though. We all know Cotton Eye Joe. I think people love that in an ironic kind of way, right? And so you can have that thrown in every once in a while, but it's not gonna be the haymaker of the party. It's kind of like a.
What are some of those songs for you?
Ooh, I'm getting ready to be crucified on the internet right now.
That just come to mind.
Sweet Caroline. I'm so sorry to the people who love that song. I've listened to a lot of Neil Diamond, and in general, it's just not for me. I even picked up a record. I was walking my dog one day when I was living in LA, and I came across a bunch of records, and I was like, I was kind of seeing a girl who was like, Neil Diamond is my jam, and me and her mom had a thing with Neil Diamond, so I was like, I'm gonna do some research. I saw some Neil Diamond vinyl, and I put them on. Not one song could I get behind, and I was just like, what is this? I don't really understand the appeal. And then of course the coup de grace, the cherry on top is Sweet Caroline, and it's just it does something to people. And for me, it just doesn't do that, you know?
Yeah.
I can't even enjoy it really, like, ironically, sadly enough. And so I'm going to get a lot of hate for that, but that's my personal...
Yeah.
That's my personal one.
I mean, I get couples who say, Chris, I swear to God, if you play Sweet Caroline, we're cutting the music ourselves.
There, see, okay, so I'm not alone.
You're not alone. You're not alone,
God.
yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a divisive song to this day. Yeah. And then on top of that, since you gave me two, I'll put in another one in there. I don't hate. I could do three. Honestly, I could do three songs. Let's
get it.
But the one that sticks out the most is, and because it's just so overplayed at weddings, is September by Earth, Wind, and Fire.
You know what? That's interesting you mentioned that, because this Saturday is September 21st.
There it is.
We have 4 weddings.
You have to play it.
We have 4 weddings, yeah.
You can't not do
That's
it.
going to be a big moment. Like, I have we have speeches written out just before we play this song.
That makes sense.
On the night.
That makes sense for me.
On the 21st night of September.
Play it on that day.
Yeah.
4 times play it on that day. Any other day of the week, any other day of the year, that was like, it's like playing St. Patrick's Day on like a different day, you know, on 4th of July. I get it. That would be cool.
Yeah.
Because it rarely lines up.
Yeah.
Right? And it is a really good, like, happy feel-good song.
It is a great feel-good.
Yeah.
I'm excited to play it, like, this Saturday.
You're just gonna only play that.
Yeah.
Just
just
for like 3 hours.
Different songs, just the acapella, different songs in the background.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
You need to get each member at each different party of Earth, Wind, and Fire. Yeah.
But,
I bet the tickets for that would sell out like crazy.
I'm excited for this weekend, especially with the disco ball, to give it that disco vibe with that song.
That'll be fun.
It's going to be a moment.
Okay, that makes sense to me. I can get behind that.
But outside of this Saturday, we could do without.
It's been done.
Yeah.
It's been done.
Definitely,
Could you imagine, though, if we weren't allowed to play that song, and then on September 21st you were allowed to play that song, just how much heavier it would hit? Yeah, dude.
I kind of feel the same way a little bit about All I Want for Christmas, Mariah Carey. You know, I had a couple recently. Huge Mariah fan.
Okay.
I think this was like 2 weekends ago. We are in September.
Yeah.
And I asked her, I was like, hey, is it too soon?
Yeah,
She was like, Chris, I love Mariah, but it's too soon.
It's too soon, yeah.
All right, the defrosting has not...
So you're like ready. You're like pushing for it.
I'm like, I mean, I just want to... Just the first time you play is kind of the best feeling.
Right, because it's like, oh, we're back, baby! Yeah, that's great.
But then after that, you're like, all right, I'm done.
Yeah, no, really, because then you have to hear it for like 3 more months.
Yeah, exactly.
And like, so when you drop it is also important, because then it's like, oh, you can't take it back.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, and here's what I fear. Where this is a completely different conversation. Yeah. I fear that we just skip Thanksgiving as like a cultural thing.
True.
Like we just forget to be grateful about anything anymore, and we just go straight to consumerism.
Yeah.
That's my own little hill that I'll die on. It has nothing to do with the wedding industry. It has nothing to do with music.
Need a banger Thanksgiving song.
Ooh.
Yeah. I wonder if it's the one that's like beans, greens, tomatoes. I don't know.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. Is there a good?
We need Drake
song?
Or something to drop like a banger.
Yeah. I think you're right. Like even when I think of like when I was a kid, what did they play?
I mean, there's Halloween bangers. There's Christmas bangers. There's always New Year's kind of like.
Yeah. Old Lang Syne.
The countdown moments.
Yeah.
But yeah.
What is a good Thanksgiving? You know
what?
Yeah, let us know in the comments.
Yeah. So
what is like the most banger Thanksgiving song?
Yeah.
I think that would be cool.
Yeah.
That would be
also, let us know in the comments if you were getting engaged in DC, what you would want as your backdrop in the city. Would you want the Potomac? What are some other? Would you want Lincoln Memorial, Jefferson?
Do you want monuments? Do you want gardens? Do you want like cool architecture?
What are those flowers that happen once a year?
Yeah,
cherry blossoms. Do you want cherry blossoms?
I'm gonna tell you right now, you want those.
Cherry, yeah.
It's a good time of year.
Let us know in the comments what would be your preferred time of year and backdrop.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Good call.
Yeah.
Good call.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now we're talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. I mean, trying to think anything else. I mean.
That's what I got.
Okay.
I think this is pretty solid, man.
Yeah, solid. I mean, I think as wedding photographers, any other nightmare situations that have happened? Are you someone that carries 2 cameras at all times?
Oh, all the time. I would carry a third if I could.
Wide and zoom?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
You have that cool leather.
Oh, yeah.
I want one just to have one.
Oh, just to have
straps.
one. And I see people who like emboss it with their own brand, and I'm like, that's next level. I have people who are like, they do this one day and then they do the belt the other day because their back starts to hurt after a while, so they need to balance that out. You're exchanging hip pain for back pain, right? I think one thing that most people underestimate is just how physical the job can be. And it's
because you're like, you're arching.
Yeah. I'm not even that old, but like the day after a wedding, I feel like I'm 80.
Jeez,
yeah, which is why I can only do like swimming as a sport.
I'm almost 30,
resistance.
and I'm starting to feel that after weddings.
Yeah. When you're on your feet all day.
I just need to be in bed all day.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, mentally it will prepare if you have like a triple header, double header, whatever. God forbid. But I mean, it happens because like everyone wants to get married, especially around this time of year. Everyone wants to get married, and so you got to be aware.
So when you went through your kind of wedding time phase in life, you were not in the wedding industry. Now that you've been in the wedding industry, if you had to plan your wedding for 2025, what venue would you select? Now that you've been in the industry, you've seen venues.
Money's not an issue?
You've seen vendors. Money is not an issue.
That's huge. Okay, because that...
And I will limit it to DMV area.
Okay.
I asked someone the other day, and she was like, Venice, Italy. I was like, all right, I don't even know.
I want it in Macau.
Yeah.
Dude, no joke. I'm glad you asked me this, not last week, but this week, because literally over the weekend, I was at a wedding that was at the Baltimore Engineers Club. If you've ever heard of this venue, have you been there?
I have not. We're gonna put a picture on the screen.
It is really nice. It wasn't my wedding to shoot. I was doing a portrait booth thing there, but like you need to see this place. Beautiful. It is unreal. The staircase, just the way the layout, the string lights, the theater, just like the two different fireplaces. They had a light room, they had a dark room. It was beautiful.
And as a photographer, you're looking at these different rooms like, oh my god, the angles I would capture, the lighting I would provide.
Dying for them to just like be like, look, can we use this room instead? But in the middle of the day, it's like we sign on with the backdrop. I'm doing the backdrop thing. I'm like, okay, we got to stick to the plan. It's too much stress to be putting on somebody to make last minute changes. But I'm looking around and I'm just like, my jaw was on the floor. The event planner literally had to be like, yo, you need to pick your job off the floor. Like, I get that it's awesome right now. A stilt walker just came out and we've got like a bunch of like dancers and stuff, and I would definitely take a look at the Baltimore Engineers Club right now for a venue. Other than that, though, if you're going for something simple, which some couples are, and I'm for this too, I love these too. Like if you're going for simple, look at gardens like around the area. Look at like Hillwood Estate. Look at Meadowlark. Look at just like botanical gardens, arboretum, because those settings are timeless.
Okay, and now as someone who is a seasoned proposal photographer, your proposal took place on a snowy day in DC, right? If you had to plan for a spring proposal where you were proposing, what would you select as the location backdrop in spring 2025?
You gotta beat me out of cherry blossoms, man. It's such a rare and beautiful thing. I mean, and I can say that in all honesty. It's just, we're so lucky to have it here. People come out from all over the world to come and see it. Honestly, it's always one of the busiest times of year after coming out of like a really slow time of year for us photographers. Come see me out in cherry blossoms. I love. I mean, I never get
photos of that, right?
Yeah.
We'll throw some of those on the screen right now. Oh,
yeah. No, families, couples, everything. I had weddings happen during that time of year. It's always lucky. Like, it's the best. Wow. I mean, it's going to be a little crowded, but work with me and we'll beat the crowd. Like, I'll have you up, like, at crack of dawn, but trust me, it'll be worth it.
Worth it, yeah.
Like, all the like, I'm not a morning person. Like, when you see the photos, you will not care. You'll be like, I'm really glad I did that.
And once you have the photos, you won't even remember that it hurt to get up that early. You'll just be thankful that you hired this guy and you have these incredible photos.
Pain is temporary, but photos are forever.
Literally. Jeez. All right, man. Any other questions you have?
Dude, I just want to say thank you so much for having me.
Man.
I've been wanting to. I've had a lot to say, and I've been enjoying hearing everything you've had to say, dude. I feel like I've met my brother on the other side of the aisle.
Absolutely,
it's really
man.
cool.
Thank you.
This is fantastic.
One more cheers, man.
Cheers. Yep.
Yes,
Mexican
sir.
Coke. Leading us out. Blinkies.
Salud. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Cheers.
And If you're still watching, let us know in the comments. What should they let us know in the comments? Comment a song that you think is overplayed at a wedding. Comment a song below that you
Hot
think.
takes only.
Yes, only to the true listeners here that made it this far. Let us know in the comments, what song could you do without at a wedding? Overplayed, right? Song or artist, let us know. Thank you for tuning in. Catch you in the next one. Peace. All right.
Hell yeah. That was sick. That's a good one.